Good morning. This is Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncovering No More. Let me tell you a little true story. I have a nice park near my new home, and there are days right now, please humanity, don't take offense, but I need space to just not have anything that I have to do for just a minute. And so I decided last week, because I'm not the only person in my midst, Tribe Judah, that it is this way. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if the king and my brother are this way, wherever their bodies are dwelling in the realms this morning. And they're working overtime to pull me out of the idea of being wrong, that I actually wasn't, which is a realm traveling mystery, but not to us. It's not to some of my children, if you want the honest truth. And we are we, and it's beautiful until you struggle like I have with continuing to mourn the loss. And I don't think I would have struggled with that. Matter of fact, I know I wouldn't have if other people were not as negative and critical of the process, particularly the last 16 years, 17 years, has actually happened directly around me. There's just a lot of disconnection because of this thing, and I've explained this to mortals around me. When you are the exorcist, as I am, when someone is being exorcised, in other words, strongholds are being removed from their life that are generational. When you're the person that is doing that in love with them, the exorcist, they've got to hit somebody on the way out. I've had to do it because though my father was the only one in my previous life that could exorcise me, the king is the only one on the other side, which is the New Jerusalem, that can exorcise me because of the nature of my life and the calling on my life. And if you think I'm being arrogant, you're a stupid ass idiot who doesn't recognize what other people have been through. I say what I say just now out of complete compassion for everyone in my midst. So, back to, what you should do with that, in my personal opinion, in your larger frame of reference, in other words, your sphere where you're dwelling, is recognize who the exorcists are. Quietly start to support them. We don't necessarily want to be pointed out. We do point it out when we have to. The attack sometimes was so bad upon me or upon people around me, I had to remind some people, I'm an exorcist, to get them to snap out of the tendency to attack the person, to attack the hand that is removing you from the cage. It's an animalistic thing, but it's also very human. It's the flight syndrome of reality. Nobody ever wanted to face this kind of pain, to be exorcised. Nobody. That doesn't mean that we haven't faced it courageously, time and again. Time and again. So that's where it is. And this morning, so I heard yet last week, and even stated it, that that I was going to need to, this light is stuck, which is probably a metaphysical situation going on. So I'm gonna, just a minute. Dadgum. Okay. All right. Here we go. It fixed. I guess I'm supposed to drive a little bit. Oh, the light's messed up. Okay. I'm supposed to drive for a minute, and the reason for that is Starbucks. I need to go spend some time somewhere, and this happens to me frequently. You don't have to believe me, but a light stuck because I was just gonna head in a certain direction, and I'm not supposed to yet. So this kind of thing happens to me all the time, and it happens to other people around me, and I'm about to tell you a story that's going to be just a little hard for you to understand if you're a stupid-ass idiot that is too literal for your own good. In a very gorgeous world, but we've also got a lot of work to do because people are dying today that shouldn't be. People are being raped that shouldn't be. So we need to take the good with the bad, balance it, and keep moving. That's the way it is. And it's always been that way. This is Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncovering No More Bitch Slapping everybody for just a minute. Take it or leave it. It's part of my job. Because I got a bunch of stupid-ass Christians that I'm still having to be around that want to fly high in the sky spiritually, which I can do. But they don't want to starfall and get practical, which I do. And I require it of people who then cuss me out. See, when spirituality puts our feet on the ground, we got some work to do. And so let's go back to what I was talking about myself. I just realized last week, and even said it to someone, because we just have one car right now, so it's tricky. So I said, well, when I have the car first thing in the morning, there's a park here in this area that, I'm just gonna go in the morning. I'm a tree hugger, y'all. My dad was. I've got so many children like this. I mean, we've had conversations because where some of us needed to relocate, the trees are tiny because they're baby trees, because it's a baby community, which is a privilege to start growing with the king, because I've seen the king in my baby community. So, we're in the New Jerusalem. He knows more about that than I do. So don't do anything with that. That's our business. Okay? You are where you're supposed to be. If we don't have you there, we wouldn't have made it here in Beaty-Coffey's life. But anyway, so for the first time this morning, it was nice and cozy in my office. I can read my poetry anywhere and just fly away for a minute and then go clean the kitchen. I can do that. I have done that. I always do that. But there is something to building a dwelling as metaphysical beings. And everybody knows that. And I think we rely on social media too much. But I don't think we relied on social media too much. I said that in the past tense. So I get up and I go to my park, which they've got parts of it blocked off right now because they're refurbishing it, which brings me joy, because when I indwelled this park at the beginning of my dwelling at this new place, that means I call the spirit of my children and everybody in my life into the trees. I have foreseen some things of my future with my family there. And so it brings me joy to see them fixing it, to see that there were funds provided to fix it. I didn't know it needed fixing. Honestly, it's a gorgeous park. The trees are beyond magnificent. And we are we. And so there's new subdivisions going up everywhere. There's going to be trees. Listen, my loves. We are the humans. We are the creators if we are good and great people. And we are we. The tree needs us. The tree of life needs us everywhere we are. What if you live in the desert? Well, then the sands that are the people and that are those grains of sand need us to infuse with righteousness, with peace, and with joy in great spirit. And it doesn't matter who you are. I just use some Christian terms from the Bible, and that's okay. That's okay. It could have been pulled out of any number of other spiritual sources. The curse is passing away. But it is not passing away for those who are weaving and enabling wickedness. And that's where the war is. So let me go back. So I found my little place, y'all, and this has been 2 years. My son goes and fishes there sometimes. Things like that. And so we are beginning a heritage in this beautiful place. And y'all, I went to the body of water that I like. They actually have fountains, and the trees are just, like I said, they're just gorgeousness, okay? So I take my little light chair that just cozies up my back, and I have my Barnes & Noble very strong book bag, and I had my Prismacolor, my brand new favorite Prismacolors, because I was going to and am reading a poem by TS Eliot, one of my favorite immortals. And he just guides me constantly. It's ridiculously lovely. So there I am doing this thing. And choosing it a week ago, getting it okayed by Curtis, because we have one car and we're working on schedules and to be at peace with all of it and making sure we're taking care of our responsibilities. I'm sitting there, made sure I wasn't in any ants. And here they come. Whack, whack. And what's so funny about it is, I'm okay with saying hi to the duck. But these two white with the orange beak ducks, typical ducks, they stayed with me. Oh my gosh. I couldn't have my moment. I just wanted to stare at the water and read the poem. I got one piece of the poem read. And these ducks just kept quacking, and they were so sweet, and they were listening to me. Oh my gosh, it was so funny, because both of them would turn their head and just look straight at me, listening to me, standing in ants, getting their little feeties bit and shaking it off, and then coming back to me. It was so funny. I got up and walked around, and I had a little concept I needed to work through, and so it's on Twitter, pinned on one of my accounts. Sat down again. I couldn't sit down. They were going to stay there, and I told them at first, I said, I'm parked now. I said, okay, next time I come, I'll bring bread. And I kid y'all not, they just kept staying there, telling me, what the fuck? Why didn't you bring our bread this time? I thought, okay, I can't do this. These are ducks putting expectations on me. What the fuck? So I started walking on. They followed me on the concrete sidewalk. They followed me and kept cocking their heads, listening to me. And I finally had to admit, I said, wait a minute. If I bring bread, all you're going to let me do is feed you. Have you ever fed ducks at a pond? They do not give one fuck if you run out of bread. So, I don't have a solve here. I'm just telling you what just happened to me. And so I have a gateway there, y'all, and so it was so cute because they literally stood at the gateway as I walked gently off. There was somebody mowing, and they said goodbye, and I said goodbye to them, and they probably went back to their water now, and oh my goodness. No, I'm not Beatrix Potter, but now you understand where some of us, how we dwell among you. And so my question is, what I'm going to do is go ahead and start this poem. I'm behind on poems, but that's a good thing to be behind on, I think. So let me finish out, and I'll just get this uploaded when I get it uploaded. This is TS Eliot, Choruses from the Rock. And I have a specific place to sit to do some work in the church that I go to. So this is one. TS Eliot does this a lot. I'm sorry, this is one. And I started reading it in a church, my church, as I was sitting outside as they were talking and stuff. Sometimes I can't be in the big meeting. I'm finding out I'm not going to be able to be in the big meeting. It's too much of a power draw for me right now. And I need to stay there and dwell there and be with them and see what friendships come to me this way. It's not about, for me, as an exorcist, a sorceress, a Christian, a pagan, an agnostic, an atheist, I love you all, a Buddhist, a Hindu. I come really strong through everything I'm mentioning. I come really strong through all of it. I get it. All of these. A Buddhist, a Hindu, and the king is really strong in the Muslim side. That's his side. I just I'm there with him, but I'm secondary as far as something going on. Olive Father is very, very injured, I think is what I'm saying. And so the male side of deity and the Great Spirit needs to come forth very strongly in all manifestation. Because if there's one thing that I know the king is about, it's basically saying you need to treat the women correctly for the rest of eternity, no matter what the calling is on their lives. Listen to them. Support them. But I can tell from a distance that the king and his men, all of the elect men across all tribes, tongues, peoples, and nations, do have to distance women that are adulterous towards wicked men, their own lives. They will hate on men. They will hate on women. There's one thing to have it, to purposely, as I have done, go into a season of hate. There's quite another to decide that that's where you're going to dwell, because that's where you can make a lot of money and get a lot of attention. And we've got a lot of people, particularly women in the American Grand Old Party, doing this for attention, for any number of reasons. They're not creationists. You don't have to be a creationist to take something away from my story. It's real, it's funny, and those ducks listen. All creation worships, my loves. Okay, so this is the first of one. There are 10 of these. I am finishing finger exercises. So that's what I will go in and work on this morning, is the finger exercises. Where I am right now. So I at least got that straightened out with the ducks. But it is very difficult sometimes with the calling on my life. It's very difficult for me to accept this, that I don't even know what it is. So here's a moment of silence for myself when I don't know what it is. And so the reason that I wanted to read this poem when I saw it in the church is because the eagle soars is the first 3 words. And I had declared and been accepted and acknowledged and said yes to in various ways on Twitter that in America, the American eagle is the king of kings, and he's the only one. He's the only eagle phoenix. The only one. There are no others. He's even shaved his head bald. He knows this. America doesn't know this. So here's Tara. You do remember what I look like, don't you? American Christianity. I've got swords where the handle's in the middle. There's 4 blades. Long blades in the spirit. Right now, I have the responsibility to measure the temple. I'm not the only archangel in this position, but I am one of them, and that doesn't, incense archangel, my life it's extremely obvious in Revelation chapter 6. My children light candles, light incense. We have a hallowed place of candles and whatnot, because it's not just me that's that. I can tell you about me, but all 10 of my children represent that as strongly as I do. It's a privilege, but it also has a tremendous amount of responsibility within it. So I would suggest that you appreciate all of us like this and stop fighting us. Let me repeat. The only eagle phoenix in the entire world system is the King of Kings. When did this come about? The minute he breathed his last and went to hell for 3 days. Or America wouldn't be here, and the eagle, the bald eagle, would not be the national bird. It is that simple. You don't be Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncovered no more and say anything else. The eagle soars in the summit of heaven. The hunter with his dogs pursues his circuit. O perpetual revolution of configured stars. O perpetual recurrence of determined seasons. O world of spring and autumn, birth and dying. The endless cycle of idea and action, endless invention, endless experiment, brings knowledge of motion, but not of stillness. Knowledge of speech, but not of silence. Knowledge of words and ignorance of the Word, capital W, the King. All our knowledge brings us nearer to our ignorance. All our ignorance brings us nearer to death. But nearness to death, no nearer to God. Where is the life we have lost in living? Where is the wisdom we have lost in knowledge? Where is the knowledge we have lost in information? The cycles of heaven in 20 centuries bring us farther from God and nearer to the dust. I just made a decision. I will post poetry when I post poetry. that means this one is going on this weekend. I will interrupt what I interrupt to bring the truth to the world. This is Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncovered